Welcome everybody to Ballers and Briefs,
Let's
Week 1,
go.
2024 Fantasy Showdown. It's
We
great to be
here.
back, fellas.
Yes,
We
sir.
back.
Is it not? It's football is back. Football is king, and we are back. The three amigos, the three caballeros. We are here, baby. Got my Disney ploy in. Let's
Time to
go.
make the millies.
Let's go. Let's go. So, thanks everybody that's watching. We're excited to be here, and we
Very excited.
are just ecstatic. So, with that being said, how about we just get straight into what we came here for, the fun part. So, this is week 1 NFL Showdown. Tomorrow, Baltimore at Kansas City in Arrowhead, AFC rematch, and then Friday in Brazil, Green Bay Packers go down to Rio to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Quick thoughts, guys, on these two games.
Why the are we going to Brazil?
It's a worldwide game, man. It's a worldwide
No,
game. Football. It's football.
they subjecting these athletes to terrorism. Crazy, man. We should not be in Brazil. We shouldn't be in Mexico. Shouldn't be in London. None of these. None of
It's
these.
an international game. We're trying to grow the game. I mean, it's flag
Now it's
football.
going to be one day International Football League. It's going to be the IFL.
I mean, it's the NFL is always going to be the NFL, but it's a we want this to be a game that everybody can play in, man. It's 2028. It's going to be flag football in the Olympics. I mean, our kids.
That's exciting.
That's
grow the
exciting.
sport.
So it's going to be a worldwide sport. I hope that's what we hope for. So,
At least from a football standpoint, I think it's two really good matchups. I think the NFL did a really good job, kind of starting with the first one. They're bringing back the AFC Championship, kind of a rematch, at least for Lamar. Is definitely going to be some bad blood there. So you definitely want to kind of see the type of storylines that may go out. With that matchup, the two quarterbacks who are considered to be in the top 5 of the quarterbacks in the NFL. So definitely that's a great matchup, and the two blue bloods with Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. That's just true. Old school NFL.
Smash
Branded
mouth football
football
right
team
there.
who just play rugged. In the snow. It's everything what you think about football. You think of Green Bay Packers and what they've done in their history and all the championships they won, and then also you're just thinking about the Eagles as well and the brand that they have established and sort of a new age brand. Your Jason Kelsey's of the world, and he's going off to making $100 million now, so it seems like he's doing better now than he was beforehand. It's maybe easier to just start a podcast.
Yeah, but he's on
But yeah,
ESPN now too. So
yeah, awesome, man. It's just awesome to see the growth and development. But yeah, just awesome. Two good football games. Can't help but to be geared in as a football fan. I'm gonna be locked in for both of those games.
I wonder if we're gonna get a Taylor Swift sighting in Kansas City and Arrowhead amongst the Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah,
I'm sure that
If we
the
don't,
NFL hopes
we'll
that
be
at least
surprising. So for all the
the
Swifties
NFL
out
would love
there,
that. Yeah, definitely needs
back
those
season 2.
reminders that it's back again. The soap opera continues.
Yeah, definitely. So, with that being said, let's just kick it straight into the first game, which is Baltimore going into Kansas City. That obviously is a AFC Championship rematch from last year, like I said before, and we're gonna see quite a few different faces on. I would assume they're in Baltimore with the King has made it into the Ravens flock. So King Henry, Derrick Henry is there, and I could see this being one of those times where this season he's gonna just get fed, like feed the King. This could be a 20 touchdown season for him on this offense where they can't decide if we need to stuff the box or if we need to worry about Lamar running to the outside or him beating us with tosses over the top to the likes of Zay Flowers, or that old reliable Mark Andrews, So it could be one of those seasons where it's just pound, pound, pound there in Baltimore. And then in Kansas City is Kansas City. We're going to see the first three-peat that we've seen ever. Is that something that you think that could happen this season, or are we already putting too much stock in Kansas City when they could fall off like the Patriots did 2 back-to-back, and then Denver did 2 back-to-back in the 90s. So
I don't think they fall off. No shot.
You think that they could run a third one?
I mean, that's debatable. It's week 1, but I don't ever think they'll fall off. I think they'll always be a playoff Super Bowl contender as long as Kelsey and Mahomes are there. I mean, if you look at the wide receiver core, it's never been without Tyreek Hill. It's never been like, oh man, I'm gonna play this guy this week. No, I'm gonna play Kelsey. I'm gonna play Mahomes, and they get it done. So I think it's always gonna be playoff contenders.
Had Hollywood Brown not had that shoulder problem in week 1 of the preseason, I would say this has probably been the best receiving core that Mahomes has had since Tyreek Hill was there with that like Sammy Watkins team, a couple 4 years ago or whatever. It's probably been the best since then. So
well, yeah, I think that you think of the sort of the levels that quarterbacks go through, and as you see them progress in their careers, a lot of times due to the contracts now, but kind of thinking of a Brady, the receiving core starts to kind of trickle down a little bit, and that you're kind of forced to play with not necessarily subpar receivers, but maybe not top tier receivers. Whereas usually towards the beginning of their careers, a lot of times you do get that number one style receiver. Even Brady had a chance to play with Randy Moss for a year, and so that definitely gives you that cushion. But now kind of the cushion goes once the check comes in, and it's up to it's up to Mahomes or that franchise style quarterback to be able to kind of mask those differences in the ability of the performance of the receiving core.
And in regards to injuries in this game, there's no significant injuries at this point. Like obviously it's week 1, but except for like I said, Hollywood Brown, he's going to be out. There's not any significant injuries. All guys are in full go. So this could be one of those barn burner type games, or as we've seen in the past, the first game of the season, we have a Super Bowl champion comes off the Super Bowl hangover, and then they just get mopped. I mean, what last year Kansas City lost to Detroit in week 1. So
well, I think it's when I looked at the previous matchup, the previous score in the AFC Championship was 17-10. I mean, you're looking at I think 336 yards for the Chiefs total, 316 for the Ravens, and so it seemed to me that when you're kind of bringing back the same type of team, you didn't really do a lot of major changes. It's hard to believe that there's going to be that much difference in the game flow, just given the fact that there's two good defenses on both sides, with the unique scheme that makes it very difficult for any quarterback to be able to really have really good games. And so the only sort of X factor I can really think about here is the X factor of having to insert into Derrick Henry. But I will have to see it a little bit in the sense that I think he's definitely a more advanced version of a Gus Edwards, who I think got a double-digit touchdowns within this role. But I don't know how much tread is left on the tires. I want it to be a great year, but I just want to see it just a little bit, and also how he fits within the scheme.
Yeah. Oh, if you guys saw Jay's question, who allowed Kansas City to get Tyreek Hill again with Xavier Worthy? I mean, he's got the wheels. I don't really know if he has the hands, but a lot of people didn't think Tyreek Hill had the hands when he came in. But we will see. I do know that he's been drafted quite a bit in fantasy leagues. And he's one of those guys to watch for if you can stash him, especially if you're playing Dynasty League. Dynasty, he's a great stash, and one of those guys that if you're in redraft formats, he's one of those guys that you can put on the bench and hope to God maybe, especially if you have a Patrick Mahomes, you drafted Patrick Mahomes and you didn't get Rashee Rice and you didn't want to worry about Hollywood Brown and you grabbed him instead. He's a good stack for like a bye week or just in case somebody gets hurt, so that's a good play. I like that thought, Jay.
Good GPP play for tomorrow.
Yeah. So we can shift kind of straight into a little bit of DFS talk with that, and please keep the questions coming, and we'll put them up on the screen. So Phil, I know that you are the DFS guru here, but I wanted to put a little bit of guys that I felt like are a little bit of chalk tomorrow, according to what the projections show. What do you think about these guys as chalk tomorrow for GPP? But obviously they could be good cash plays as well. You got Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, and Lamar for the Ravens, and then Kelsey Mahomes and Isaiah Pacheco there for Kansas City.
So I think it's all where you play them tomorrow. So obviously every single one of these people in the flex is going to be chalk, but not all of them are going to be chalk in the captain spot. I don't think Pacheco will be chalk in the captain spot. I don't think Mark Andrews will be chalk in the captain spot. I think Derrick Henry is probably the best play on the slate just because Baltimore, I think, is a run-first team, number one. Number two, I think there's a high chance that this game is not what people expect and leads more to red zone stops and more of a field goal type game, maybe a rush in here and there. Could come from Lamar Jackson, could come from Henry, but I think they are going to pound the ball and they're going to use a lot of, flex options where Lamar takes it himself and tries to get downfield. But I think red zone, I don't want to say I think one way to play this is playing it where there's red zone fails. If you're trying to get different, play for red zone fails. That will open up your chalk and your GPP. So there are many ways to get different. Like Xavier Worthy, I think he might not be GPP in the flex because a lot of people are going to be going to him for that pump play, but he'll absolutely be GPP in the captain spot. There's not going to be high ownership with him in the captain spot. That's a way to get different. But, my whole thing coming into this game is week one, I can't stand on business and say, I know, this is the play and that's the play. But what I can tell you is play this game different ways. I think good plays might be the kickers in the captain spot. That
you
is
never can count out Justin Tucker, man. How many times have we played Justin Tucker? Yeah.
So both of them is solid plays tomorrow. And to be honest, I was actually thinking about locking one of them in the flex as just that's me being different across the slate is every single lineup I do in GPP is going to have one of those kickers in it. I think it's going to be Justin Tucker because, to be honest, I think they move the ball more. I just do. I think they have more ways to move the ball than Kansas City does. But, with that said, doesn't mean Kansas City can't move the ball. Harrison Butker can't make the same plays, but I think
both of these guys are 60-yard easy kickers. That's extra points just in itself, especially and kind of even for a fantasy season-long perspective. That's 5 points for 60 plus or 55 is 55 plus or 50 plus kick. That's 5 points, and then and as well in DraftKings, it's the same.
Just a contrarian play in general.
I believe that Justin Tucker had, 5 plus games where he had at least 10 plus fantasy points within that game, and I'm not sure where that ranks exactly against the other kickers, but that's a lot of production and fantasy points coming out of a kicker consistently. And it just adds to what Phil is saying, is that if you want to get different, with a proven commodity at the kicker spot. And there's no other more proven commodity than Justin Tucker. Also, just kind of thinking about the chalk guys here, I did see that in the AFC game. Pacheco had 24 touches on the rushing game and another 4 catches. So even though he's a chalk guy, you probably want to have him in your lineup tomorrow from both a fantasy daily and also a long term, just because I believe that they're going to continue to give him that many touches in this game as they try to figure out how to move forward in the passing game and kind of see what they have with the weapons. You want to kind of establish a ground game to do that. You can build off of that with the play action. That's going to open up your faster receivers down the field, and even Kelsey.
Well, they have no Jet McKinnon anymore, so that takes away the passing. Carson Steele, but he's a
punt right there.
He could be a great punt. I mean, but now they just picked up Samaje Perine, and that dude is a good pass catcher out the backfield. And those CH, because he's out on the not injured reserve, but he's on the list where he's out for 4 games because he's suffering from PTSD or something like that.
List.
Yeah, get better soon, CH. But the thing is there's that plethora of weird options there at running back behind Pacheco, but Pacheco has worked on his hands this offseason, so we could see more dump off passes to him than what we have in the past. So even though, like I said, he is chalk, like I said, he's going to be chalk, but this is a showdown, so we're always going to see chalkier players, but you need to be able to get those guys in. But I like him a lot. I mean, I still like Pacheco a lot, and I've seen it. We've had him before as a captain, as the number one, as in the number one winning lineup. Pacheco's been the captain before.
And from a season long, he helped to carry my team last year, and really provided a lot of stability at the running back position. And so definitely watch out for him again from a season long too. Keep him in those lineups going, because they're going to have to again establish that run game to really help to open up the spaces for your Kelseys and for your receivers.
Well, Lamar has been historically the leading captain of Baltimore, but I would like to say I think that changes this year. I think the King is going to make that a big change. So, like you said here, chalk, absolutely, but is he going to be chalk in the captain spot? I don't know. Week 1, different ways to look at it.
Jay says he's ready for every running back for the Ravens to score besides the one he plays.
Absolutely, I mean, every week last year.
Justice Hill is always that guy that kind of steals stuff from us when we think that he's not gonna be around. But
when I play him, it's the other one that scores.
Yeah, but it's weird.
And I hope they don't do that again. That could kill Henry in here. Is when
I don't think so. I think this is a different kind of Derrick Henry is he's an alpha. I'd never felt like the Ravens they haven't had an alpha running back there since like Ray Rice. I felt like they've always just had guys, right? Ray Rice was the last alpha running back that they had there. And I think they've just had guys since then that have done their thing, right? They've done great things, but they just haven't had that one. And I think that they may have it now. And everybody's like, oh, well, as we've always said before, a negative correlation with a running quarterback against a running back, but this running back's different. He could rip on the option play. He might rip the ball from Lamar and take it in himself. He's just that type. And I feel like that this is kind of a thing like Harbaugh and the offensive coordinator there, Monken, they're going to just make this work. Make Lamar, okay, you have Derrick Henry, arguably one of the best running backs that we've seen in the last decade. Use him properly. And so I think that's going to be one of those things. A guy that shifting away from the running back, a guy I'm not super high on tomorrow, and you guys tell me what your thoughts are, is Zay Flowers. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of Mark Andrews. Without Mark Andrews in the playoffs last year, he went 5 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown against the Chiefs. But when he was on the field with Mark Andrews, he he averaged only 11 fantasy points per game, but without Mark Andrews on the game in the game, he averaged 17.4. So that obviously shows a significant drop off. And we know for a fact who does Lamar look for? He looks for Mark Andrews, and even sometimes
likely.
Yeah, I think that's a great DFS type play as well. But like obviously, this is not going to be the year that likely goes off in fantasy like season long for no stretch. But for DFS, yes. Run.
DFS,
don't be afraid to run 2 tight ends.
2 tight ends tomorrow is another way to get different.
To kind of play a little devil's advocate in regards to the Zay Flowers play, it does show though that he had just to make sure I get this right, 5 games of at least 10 plus targets in those games. And so there's a very good likelihood that the defense takes away Mark Andrews tomorrow. And so at some point, then you need to find another option. It seems like there were opportunities presented based off of the targets that he received. It just seems like maybe, as unfortunately, sometimes, you have to really kind of establish that that chemistry with the quarterback. And I think Zay Flowers being younger is still going to take a little bit of time. But I see Zay Flowers almost as another Deebo Samuel. His ability after the catch to make guys miss is a little different. It's that different style to it, and you can't coach it. It's just athletic gift. And so I actually am high a little bit on Zay Flowers in this game because I believe in the AFC Championship game, I believe he had 5 receptions for 115 yards. So it seems like there are abilities to scheme him up and in the offense. And I think again, when you're kind of having to kind of go to different options, because you may not be able to go to your number one against a great defense, Zay Flowers is a great option because again, he could take a 3-yard slant for 50.
On the other side, what do you guys think about Rashee Rice tomorrow?
I like Rashee Rice tomorrow.
No Hollywood Brown. Who else is? I mean, we're back to the same, obviously the same set of wide receivers, minus with the addition of Xavier Worthy that Patrick Mahomes last year had. And who did he throw the ball to? Rashee Rice.
I mean, I think that's his only go-to, but that's also why I like the X-Man.
Yeah, so I mean,
you can see it for both, and that's why I'm gonna lean a little bit with Phil on going with the new guy here a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's just kind of the bad juju kind of surrounding Rice a little bit. Makes me wonder if his production is going to be as efficient as he was last year.
Yeah, I think Baltimore dominates this game just from analyzing it. I'm not much of a winner on sports betting, but I honestly think Baltimore dominates this game. I think they dominated on the ground. It's going to open up a lot of Andrews. It's going to open up a lot of Lamar just doing what he wants. And I think it's going to result in points, whether that's field goals or touchdowns. And I don't see the same from Kansas City. We've seen them get shut down before. And I think that they got a tough challenge here in week 1. And like you said, last year, they like shit the bed week 1. I think they need to find themselves. I think they like lose it in the off season. And then they come back in and they're like, all right, that was a warm up. I got to get myself together after that beatdown. I have a feeling that Baltimore is going to dominate this game.
Something I was about to say is that, and you say that, don't be afraid of that defense tomorrow. Just because, think about it like this. We just changed the kickoff rule. Okay. We just changed the kickoff rule. And now they want these guys to be able to return the ball and take the ball back to the house. There's some great options on both sides of the ball, both teams here with returners. Okay. Cause they have those guys that can take it to the house. And this new kickoff rule, whether you like it or don't, it's going to make it exciting because you're going to see all different kinds of trick plays. And we know Andy Reid has trick plays up his sleeve, but most people don't remember that Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator early in his coaching career. I have this feeling he's got some wheels turning in his head. Maybe like he's got a Deontay Hardy and a Zay Flowers back there, a little bit of reverse action or something like that, and take it out the back door and a touchdown. And that's points for your defense and your special teams. So don't be afraid of that. And then we know sometimes that Patrick Mahomes gets a little rattled in these bigger games like this and tends to throw a pick or two. There might be a fumble, something like that. So don't be afraid to play the defenses in these games, especially in DFS. And of course, if you have these two defenses in season long, you better start them. That's a dumb move not to. Don't play that, oh, I'm not starting a defense kind of thing and put yourself in a hole.
We've also seen where like games get out of hand scoring 30, 40 points and the defenses still have like 12 and 14 points because they were a portion of those points scored. They were getting fumbles, they were getting kickoff, they were getting fumbles for touchdowns or pick sixes, and then they ended up with like 20 points. And then even though the other team scored like 30 or 40, they still finished with 12, 14 points. Yeah, that exactly. In the captain spot could be a win. That in the flex could be mandatory. So I was going there when I was saying I think Baltimore dominates this game. Another get different play is the defense in the captain spot. And Baltimore's defense in the captain spot. Baltimore's defense in the flex. I don't necessarily like Kansas City's, but that's more way to get different, right? If I think Baltimore's going to dominate this game, maybe a lot of people do too. Maybe the play is to play Kansas City's defense.
Yeah. Give me who's a name that you guys expect to, like, other than the guys we've just talked about, what's one more name that you guys expect kind of to be on each team, like to watch tomorrow? Like, who are you watching? Have your binoculars on, whether it's just for tomorrow or going forward towards the season. Is it
not like a chalk player, like a random player?
Just a guy that you're maybe get different, like a really like strong get different type guy, or a guy that you expect to have that high stock going forward, and he won't end up being chalk, but he's one of those guys that's gonna sign you the check. You know what I'm saying?
Noah Gray.
Okay, I like that.
Baltimore's going to try to lock Kelsey down. If they do, we've seen Noah Gray come in, even with Kelsey in the game, take mad touchdowns. So, and it's a showdown, right? What do we always say about showdown? It's always the randomized backup that gets the touchdowns. And we got 80% exposure to Kelsey, and Noah Gray gets the touchdown. Even though Kelsey did all the work to get him down there, they give it to Gray, and then we're all sitting here like, bro.
But they just got that guy, the other guy, Peyton Hendershot from Dallas, who is like going to be the third tight end on the depth chart. Like
is he that blocking though? Like,
no, he's a pass catcher from Dallas. He was a pass catcher in Dallas. He's not a blocking tight end.
Shit in Dallas
because of Jake Ferguson. But I'm saying like he's that third. We've seen that happen too. I'm just saying like that.
Yeah, like, I mean he goes way back on the depth chart. So you need somebody back on the depth chart tomorrow. Is another way to get different? I would say Noah Gray. He's not that far back, but behind Kelsey, I consider that.
What do you think, Brad?
We kind of talked about him a little bit, but I actually like Isaiah Likely here. Maybe not in the long-term play, but again, I just have this eerie feeling, and I know Andrews is still kind of nicked up a little bit, dealing with injuries. They run a lot of 2 tight end sets. When Andrews went out, I believe Isaiah Likely had 4 or 5 touchdowns during that period of time. So it seems like Lamar Jackson definitely likes him sort of as a red zone target. And so if you want to kind of get different, definitely for tomorrow, I can't necessarily say for the long term, but for tomorrow, I think that this game offers that second tight end, kind of like what Phil's saying, that opportunity to kind of come out of nowhere. You know, your bank, everyone's adding in Andrews, Kelsey, you know, and then it's Noah Gray and, you know, Isaiah Likely who walks away with the touchdown.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. And I think my guy that I'm kind of sneaking around the fences is I'm putting my eggs in the Samaje Perine basket. I know that I kind of alluded to him earlier. we know that we've seen Andy Reid in the past get that second running back behind whoever his number one is involved in the game, and you just stuck all your eggs in Isaiah Pacheco's basket, and then that's that second running back like Jerick McKinnon's done in the past or CH has done in the past. They really don't have much true proven depth behind Pacheco. Obviously, like Carson Steele, he did great in the preseason, but we know Samaje Perine has had that type, and we know his pass catching ability, and he can run the ball too. He's not just a pass catching back. So I like him as my guy to keep on the rise. And if he's on waivers or for your team in fantasy, long season long, go grab him. Put him in your spot, especially if you have a deep bench and you're in a deep league. If nobody's got him, you might want to go grab him at least for that. And if you have a Isaiah Pacheco, he's a great handcuff potential. So, but that's tomorrow's game. You want to pick a win? You said, Phil, you think Baltimore wins this game?
Yeah.
What about you, Brad?
I'm going to get super different and say go with the Chiefs defense, because I do believe that the Chiefs find a way to pull it out. At the end of the day, it is at Arrowhead. And you can't kind of, discount the Arrowhead mania that goes there and the fan noise that could impact the game.
So, okay, so you're calling Chiefs. Well, that will be this deciding factor here. And I think this is going to be a Chiefs squeaker at the end. I think this is what it goes exactly what Phil says, but the game script changes at the end. Somehow, some way, they mess around. Baltimore messes around and has been beating the dog out of the Chiefs all game, and somehow there's a turnover. Kansas City gets the ball back with plenty of time, works the clock, scores. Then you get a quick 3 and out with Baltimore, and Kansas City ends up kicking a game-winning field goal at the end. I think this is like razor thin margin of victory by Kansas City. I really think that this is a dominating game performance by Baltimore, but somehow Kansas City just pulls the rabbit out of the hat at the end.
By the way, the prop bet on Derrick Henry yesterday was over 63 yards. I think that is a solid ass bet.
Take it.
Yeah, over 63 for King. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
Yesterday it was 63. Take that.
And then, kind of real quick before we go, we partner with Fantasy Sports Evo. For tomorrow, obviously they have some games that will be live with touchdowns scored. Which team of you guys think scores the most touchdowns here? I think it's going to be Baltimore, like Phil said.
I'm going to go Baltimore.
I think they end up scoring the most touchdowns.
Damn, I don't know. Have Baltimore winning by all the field goals. And the defense. Yeah, maybe. I could see it. I could just see this being a run game that Kansas City cannot stop. Whether that's the run to Henry or the fake run to Henry, one of those is going to destroy them all game.
Definitely the kickers I want here. I mean, both of these kickers are great. So, but I think I like the Baltimore kicker better. I think Dustin Tucker's better. But let's move on to Friday night's game. In Brazil, as Phil said, he doesn't like the idea. Did you know that the stadium they're playing in Brazil, fun fact, they don't like the color green, and there was almost a wardrobe snafu where they weren't going to be allowed to wear green in this stadium.
This is why we don't play NFL in other countries.
Because the stadium they're playing in
over there.
So that's why Philadelphia is in all black they're gonna look weird on TV in all black. And then you get the Green Bay Packers with green jerseys and yellow pants and the yellow helmet. So as least amount of green as they possibly can have without wearing white.
I just see like fans getting kidnapped or stabbed because they're wearing green to their team, and other people think that they're on some gang stuff. So
I mean, I think this game's going to be fun to watch. I mean, it's I think tomorrow night's game is on NBC, but
they picked
Friday night game on Amazon.
There. Like they could have picked the Bills and the Patriots or something, red, white, and blue, and had them play over there. But they got to pick two green teams.
Yeah,
where the country's like, yeah, we don't fuck with green.
It's the city. It's the city, the stadium. It's not the country. Obviously, it's in their flag. But what I'm saying is this stadium that they're playing in, their rival soccer club wears green. And it's like, you know, in these in foreign countries, soccer is king. Football to them is king. And they fight over that. Like, yes, they
they only care about beach volleyball and soccer. That is correct.
Yes. I mean, that's the thing. That's their life down there. But actually, they're pretty good in gymnastics too, by the way. But what's this game? Obviously, the stars are some new faces, obviously, on both of these teams as well. In the running back position, therefore Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley, and for Green Bay, Josh Jacobs. And then we have the rising star, Jordan Love, who everybody is like touting to the heavens, and he's been a pretty high pick in draft rankings for a season long. So the problem is for me is he doesn't know who to throw the ball to because they have like 5 or 4 wide receivers that don't really know who their number one is. And
the city, there's like no number one there. She Rice maybe. But other than that, Kelsey, he's a tight end.
But I'm saying like in Green Bay, they don't really have there's not a true tried and true number one. The guy that I thought was going to be their number one, obviously Romeo Dobbs is a little banged up. He was limited in practice. So he's questionable.
Watson pops off. Christian Watson pops off. He has his times.
I don't know if Jordan Love likes him that much. I think he's really tied into Jaden Reed and Tavion Wicks and Romeo Dobbs. But I don't know.
It's more just kind of what the defense is given. He doesn't seem like I think the scheme and sort of how it's kind of being built now, kind of post Aaron Rodgers, is more what the coach is looking for, and so I think that's where you see the differences in sort of not having a necessarily a number one receiver per se, but kind of having a bunch of guys, but yet the offense still flows, is because they're looking for the right right route that's going to kind of open up and unlock those defenses. And so whoever's kind of running that route is getting the ball, which I think from a defensive standpoint is actually a lot tougher than sort of when you know who's the number one, you can kind of scheme around that, create different doubles. But when you don't know who's getting the ball that week, it's actually a lot more difficult to deal with. Because again, you can't scheme as well as you could with sort of defined number ones.
Yeah. So, and I mean, kind of talking about scheme, obviously that kind of can jump straight into the chalkboard, but with Philadelphia, there's a whole new scheme change, right? We're totally out of the Shane Steichen feel. So, cause he's totally now over in Indianapolis. He was obviously there last season. Then they still kind of tried to keep his style of offense there last season, but they got rid of that offensive coordinator because that didn't work because the Eagles kind of petered out. They won like 1 out of the last, was it like 7 games or something like that, and then they got smashed by the Bucks in the wild card round, and then now they've got Kellen Moore. They bring in Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, who was offensive coordinator there in Dallas a couple years ago. Then he took a stop there in for the Chargers, tried to run that offense with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert couldn't stay healthy, and now he brings that offense, which is pass, pass, play action, pass, run the ball, pass the ball to the running back, run the ball, pass the ball, pass. So, I mean, Jalen Hurts was over 3,000 yards, almost 4,000 yards last season. You got AJ Brown. My chalk guys there is obviously Hurts, Saquon Barkley, and AJ Brown. But then you got that guy who everybody is taking late and not given the respect that he is owed, the Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith. I feel like that dude, he has every bit of the potential to he would be a number one on any other team in the league. I mean, he's literally a 1B guy. Like, it's kind of like they got the same problem there that we have in Houston with a bunch of number ones on the same team, you know?
Correct.
And then obviously like the chalky guys that I've seen over there in Green Bay is obviously Jordan Love, Jaden Reed, and then Josh Jacobs, because obviously it's a shiny new toy. But what are what thoughts do you guys have about this game in general?
I don't know any ownerships yet because it's a little too soon. You gotta let everybody lose their money or make their money tomorrow before exposures come out. But I like Josh Jacobs. I always liked Aaron Jones. I thought he ran good behind that line, so I think Josh Jacobs will definitely do the same. So I like that play for Friday. I like the Christian Watson play, even though you don't. I think that he throws dots for that boy for big points a lot of time. That's probably all I'm looking at on Green Bay, to be honest. The rest, I'm be looking at Eagles players, and I like Devontae Smith more, and I like AJ Brown. One, because of the ownership, but two, I think he's better. Like you said, he's the number one on other teams. I think it was the year before. He definitely put up more points than AJ Brown all across the board. And then last year, not so much. Or at the end of last year, not so much, one or the other. But it's just like, which one is he going to throw it to is all that matters. They're both going to put the points up. And if everybody's going to be on AJ Brown, that much easier for me to go to Smith.
And another thing is there in Philadelphia, we've always said that it's been like the third wide receiver. How many times did we call it? Quez Watkins. Well, Quez Watkins ain't there no more. And now it's Jahan Dotson that was the number 2 in Washington last season, has come over. Now he's the number 3 over with Philadelphia. So I could see that Jahan Dotson being a good like
GPP play for sure.
GPP play. I mean, I could see his numbers surging a little bit just because people are going to try to get him as a low cost, high reward type guy. But especially there for Philadelphia. Now on the other side of the ball there, obviously you got Jaden Reed, you got Christian Watson, Datavion Wicks is going to be there. But then don't sleep on the tight end like Musgrave and Kraft, because remember last season they were just they were seesawing back and forth. I'm just saying, like, just like deep plays, you know. I personally am just not a big fan of the Green Bay in general. But
me neither. It's hard to get around a lot of those players against the Eagles.
I think even Phil was saying with I really like Josh Jacobs, even though he's kind of coming into a new system. I always also like to look at the line, O-line that's blocking for the running back, and they now kind of have a more veteran line that was kind of shaky in the last couple of years, has been a little bit more stabilized with the O-line playing a lot better. That's also allowed the play action pass to bounce off of that. Has allowed Jordan Love to be more successful in the offense. And so I just feel like inserting in the Josh Jacobs, I think it was 2 years ago, had the rushing title. He definitely knows how to create. He has the vision and the vision to be able to see the whole hit the gap and get the necessary yards. And he also has the ability to catch the ball. when in your PPR leagues, fantasy leagues, long term. That's what you always like to see out of a running back. Because if he can get you 4 or 5 catches, that's 4 or 5 points. Even if he only gets you, 10 or 15 yards, that's okay. Because those 4 or 5 points could be the difference between winning and losing your game.
You're talking about running backs. Green Bay does have a running back that I like. He's a rookie that just drafted, Marshawn Lloyd. He's got one of those like strap the rocket to his cleats and let him go to the moon kind of type potential. And if you guys don't know who he is, he was drafted from he played at USC. So he's got that like big, he's not just kind of run of the mill guy. He's got a little bit of bang to him. So just kind of keep your eyes on him if you have him, if he's available out there in leagues. He's one of those guys that he's questionable. He might not play tomorrow. On Friday, excuse me. But he's one of those guys to keep an eye on going forward. And if he does play on Friday, he's one of those we know that Matt LaFleur always has that one running back, like he has had Aaron Jones for years, which we see kind of in Josh Jacobs, but he always just tends to give the ball when it needs to be given to his guy. He gives it to his second or third string guy. Like we had AJ Dillon, and AJ Dillon, thank God, is not there to ruin my day for Green Bay. And every time I put stock in that guy, he would just disappear.
I've already reserved 20 max lineups to answer Jay's question in the showdown for tomorrow and a couple single entries. I do not recommend going heavy in week 1. I'm probably not even gonna play any cash. I think I stand by my rules from prior seasons that I don't like cash on showdowns. I did it a couple of times to try to like break even on some high loss weeks for going too heavy on certain people who shit the bed. But week 1 is like everything we're saying here today is educated, but it's so hard for it to be supported by this season because we haven't seen nothing yet. So week 1, I'm not gonna go heavy, although like I said, I already got like $100 out there, and it's not even game day. And I know when game day comes, I'm like, oh, look at this tournament. Oh, look at this tournament. I'm gonna
there's tons of.
It's not smart, and I don't know what I'm doing yet with who I'm locking in, but I'll tell y'all when I do 20 max, I lock in 1 or 2 captains and I gamble. I'm not the guy who's gonna have 5 or 6 captains in a 20 max. And for example, AJ Brown is one of my captains and he happens to be the nuts captain. I only got 2 lineups with him, and then I make like $3 because I didn't have enough exposure to him to have the winning lineup. So I'd rather get the captain wrong and miss, or get the captain right and win it all. And I think it was like week 2 or week 3 last year, I played 1 captain on a 20 max and I won first place.
Yeah, that was the Dolphins game.
By myself. And it was Devin A-Chain was my captain. And I paired double running backs. I had him and
Mostert
in my lineup. And people are like, why would you put both of them in? He takes from the other one.
And they both
getting fucking different, man. I locked A-Chain in as my captain, and it paid off. Tomorrow, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet.
Plenty of promos out on DraftKings right now. And we also play. I know some of you guys that are based in Florida, you guys can't play Pick 6, but me in Texas, I can play Pick 6. If you guys have Pick 6 questions, I love doing those. I've been crushing it on Pick 6. Obviously, it's like props, and it's a whole lot easier to win on those, especially if you're betting, if you're putting your money kind of in lineups. You can kind of double up with lineups and hope that your props hit that way. Obviously our Fantasy Sports Evo, where you pick the teams instead of the players, use our promo code. The contests are available for fantasy football right now. It is, you get 100% match up to $100, $10 of playable.
Huh? Chad got that offer. You got that offer. They capped my shit at $40. Yeah, I got 100% match bonus up to 40. She got it up to 100. Huh. And I'm like, they tried to play me, but I matched it anyway. So I was like, $40, free $40. I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, but, and it's and you get $10 extra playable credits. So yeah, you got to put in that promo code B and BFS, all one thing. I'll put it in the comment.
I be crushing Prize Pick Flex Friday. I'm not even gonna lie. I go in there. I'll tell you, I play League of Legends and I've played Valorant, but I don't know a single thing about any player on the pro teams. I just understand the game and I crush it. I've won the Flex Friday like 10 times out of the last 17. Like, crush, and that's free $200 every week. It was $500 at one point. So, and I just picked, nowadays you got to pick 2 instead of, I think it was 6 or 5, but now you just pick 4 people. And I picked 2 Valorant players and 2 League of Legends players, and I crush it. And it's easy just because I understand the game. You guys are not playing Prize Picks, and they don't sponsor us by no means. Play Prize Picks, man. It's a free $20 bet every Friday. If you lose, they give you the $20 back in like their
Prize Picks is y'all can do that in Florida. We do that. And it's different. So it's different for us in Texas. It's a little bit different. So you guys do it a little bit different in Florida. The rules are different there. And obviously, like I said, the pick 6 for DraftKings, if you're in a state that offers that, pair it with your DraftKings. Like, you know how you can pair FanDuel face-off games with FanDuel money, pair your DraftKings pick 6 money with your DraftKings money, and then your Prize Picks, get all those free promos. Because like I said, in every time I've played in Florida, they've capped me at a 4-man team as opposed to 6. In Texas, I can go up to 6 props at once. So every time I've played here in Florida, obviously I'm in Florida right now at Disney, but they always cap me at 4, so it's weird. But yeah, get all those that you can. Jay, for your information, if you go on our Fantasy Sports Evo, it's all there's WNBA contests on there right now. Use our promo code on that and get that extra up to 110 extra free bucks. Get that. So it's available over WNBA. I crush in that too. It's 3-pointers, defense, offense. It's just, it's free money and they're giving it away for you to come play in the app. So,
good deal.
Yeah. So come play that. And, yeah. So I mean,
gamble safely.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have a gambling problem, gamble responsibly.
Gamble to your limit.
But it's not betting. It's not betting. It's not betting.
Fantasy sports is not necessarily gambling, but when you play contests with 300,000 people in it, you are absolutely gambling.
You're
you need to take a risk. And that's what we mean by be contrarian, because if you think Jalen Hurts is going to be the captain, don't put him there. So does 90% of those 300,000 people. Do something different. Do something.
Unless you're playing in cash. I mean, in cash, it's different. Like, obviously, like Phil doesn't like to play showdowns and play cash lineups and showdown, obviously. I go a little bit against the grain and will play cash lineups on showdowns, which, because I'm a little, I get different from Phil's advice, but I tend to make money that way, just because I go super chalk, and that tends to just win in cash on the showdowns. But sometimes it's those people, if you get in those cheap cash lineups, those guys fluke out and they've just played people that have no business being in a cash lineup, and they end up winning it. And you're like, why am I not splitting with any of these people? Because you look at your lineup and it has 150 points, and these other people have 173.6 points, and they had the GPP get different pick of the night should have never been in their cash lineup. So That's why Phil doesn't like playing them. I will play my cards and try to get them there. So, but yeah, if anybody has other questions, we'd love to answer them because that's what we're here for at this point. But who you guys think win in Green Bay and Philly?
Philly.
I gotta go to the hometown, the birth town. It's all Philly all day. My grandfather would kill me if I came on here and said anything differently. So this one's for you, Grandpa. This one's for you. Go Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia wins here. I think that the Packers, everybody's too high on the Packers. I went on a podcast a couple weeks ago and told this guy it was his podcast. He was a Packers fan, and I told him that the Texans were going to mop the floor with the Packers. So I got to stick to my guns. Let's go, Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Get out of here, Packers.
Dominating this year for what it's worth.
I just feel like it's going to be a little bit different. They're not going to see a lot of tush push because that's not Kellen Moore's MO, and there's no Jason Kelce now. So Jalen Hurts isn't going to have that basic boulder in front of him to just him to lay down on top of, So I think it's going to be a little bit different, and they have to play a more actual schemed up offense.
No, I was talking about your Texans. I think your Texans dominate this year.
Oh, I picked them. I told them guys, I said they think that they get at least 11 wins, maybe 14.
If I was playing season long,
none of those wins would be against the Jaguars.
Huh?
None of those wins would be against the Jaguars.
Hey man, hey. I said if we lose, I said it was. Or I said we could win. We lose to the Colts at least once because I think that's just what we do, and then we lose to Detroit and maybe to the Chiefs.
4-leg parlay. Damn. Derrick Henry over 63.
Check.
Baltimore, whatever the line is, do Eagles money line. And I don't know the over-under of the Eagles game, but I think it's going to go over. I think they're going to put a show on in Brazil.
It's going to be fun. That game's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I think I see that in the 35, 31-ish range. I think both defenses are still going to have to try to figure it out.
That's a total 49 points, man. The Green Bay Eagles game is total 49 points.
I think it goes over.
It is
give me over
23 and a quarter to Green Bay and 25 and 3/4 to the Philly. So it's a 2.5 point game to Philly. I think they cover that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then on kind of backtracking back to Baltimore and Kansas City, that is a 47-point total. 22 to Baltimore and 25 to Kansas City.
It could happen, Jay. I just think we need to put a show on in Brazil. That's why we're there. Then nobody wants to see a
dead game
out there. They just get booed
with a soccer score. Let's just say it like that. We don't want to
see them quarterbacks airing it out and scoring,
running all over the field. Lots of Saquon Barkley golfing touchdowns at the goal line. Roger Goodell is probably going to be there in some bulletproof suite, having a great time. So
I want a private jet to get there.
Yeah. So, but anybody else have any other questions? Bro doesn't care about NFL money. Of course he doesn't. Doesn't matter anymore, Jay, about his IG posts. I mean, let's put that one up there for all the people to see. Neymar, the soccer player. Well, he's getting that Saudi money, so yes, he is. Everybody's getting that. But we appreciate you guys hanging out. I mean, we will be back at 7:30 Eastern time on Saturday to get you guys ready for the Sunday slate. We will talk about the Sunday slate, the main slate only. If you guys have questions about Sunday night and Monday night, we will answer them, but we will not feature those games. We will just feature the the games that are in the main slate. So that is 1 o'clock window, 4 o'clock window, or for everybody in my time, the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock windows. So
come tell us about your wins that you get from tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, follow us all on all of the social medias.
Give us all the juice, all the details, and lock us in at that 7:30 time. Come and join us again. Let's do this again.
Yeah, we want to see pictures of wins. We want you guys to say, hey, we came, we talked to Ballers and Briefs, and they got us this win. We got different, just like they told us to, and they got us this win. So we can't wait to see y'all soon, and we are out.